You've heard the term chosen children before, right? The ones who seem to have it all figured out, gifted, special, destined for greatness. We often hear about them in stories, movies, or even in real life. They're the ones everyone admires, the ones who seem to shine in a world full of ordinary. But what if I told you there's more to the story? What if the truth behind being a chosen child isn't as perfect as it seems? Today, we're diving deep into the untold side of being a chosen child. Sure, you've heard the surface-level praise, the admiration, the lofty expectations. But there's a darker, quieter side that most people don't see, a side that can be both a blessing and a burden. In this video, I'll reveal the hidden truths they don't tell you about being a chosen child, the challenges, the emotional weight, and the struggles that come with living in the shadow of being special. You might think you know everything there is to know about them, but I promise there's more beneath the surface. Now, I know what you're thinking. They're lucky, right? After all, they get all the attention, the praise, and the opportunity. But what happens when that spotlight starts to burn a little too brightly? What happens when the expectations start to feel like chains holding them back from living their truth? The truth is, being a chosen child isn't just about receiving love and admiration. It comes with an invisible weight, one that nobody talks about. Behind the picture-perfect image, there's a constant battle, a pressure to perform, and a fear of failure. Every misstep, every moment of doubt becomes a reflection of a chosen identity. And that's where things get complicated. Because in their quest to live up to others' expectations, they often forget to live for themselves. Throughout this video, you'll discover the hidden struggles that many chosen children face. Struggles that no one warns them about when the world starts labeling them as special. We'll talk about the mental and emotional pressures that come with the label, the loneliness that often accompanies the title, and the deep desire to be more than just a symbol of success. You'll learn how these children, who appear so perfect to the outside world, are often wrestling with their insecurities, frustrations, and the constant need to prove themselves. I know this might sound surprising, maybe even unsettling, but that's exactly why it's important for you to keep watching. These truths are often left untold, and understanding them can change the way you view not just chosen children, but the people around you too. If you think you know all there is to know, think again. This is the side of the story no one tells, and it's about time you hear it. So sit back, because by the end of this video, you'll have a new perspective on what it really means to be a chosen child. And trust me, this is a journey you don't want to miss. Before we talk about the benefits of being seen as special, let's dive into the pressure that comes with it. When someone is labeled a chosen child, there's this unspoken expectation that they are not only capable of greatness, but they must achieve it. No questions asked. It's almost as if being special comes with a set of invisible rules, rules that demand success, perfection, and the constant pursuit of more. But what happens when those expectations become too heavy to carry? The pressure to succeed becomes a constant weight on the shoulders of the chosen child. From an early age, they're told they're different, that they have something unique to offer the world. And while this can be empowering, it often comes with a hidden cost. Family members, teachers, and even society at large start to view them through a lens of what they can achieve, what they can give. The emphasis is always on the next step, the next accomplishment. Whether it's academic excellence, career success, or personal achievements, there's little room for error. Failure is seen as a personal setback, not just a normal part of life. And the truth is, this pressure doesn't just affect their outward success. It seeps into every corner of their mental and emotional world. The constant need to prove themselves often leads to feelings of inadequacy, as if they're never doing enough. There's always that nagging voice, whether internal or external, that says, you can do more, you should be doing more. It doesn't matter how much they've already accomplished, there's always the next milestone to reach, the next bar to surpass. The feeling of never being enough is something that eats away at their self-worth. On the surface, it may seem like they're living a life others envy, But what's hidden beneath that facade is a constant battle with their own fear. The fear of disappointing others, the fear of not measuring up, and sometimes the fear of being judged as less than if they don't meet these lofty expectations. They begin to tie their self-esteem directly to their achievements, and when things don't go as planned, the emotional toll can be overwhelming. The pressure to meet family or societal standards can feel suffocating. There's often an assumption that being chosen means you've already succeeded, that the road ahead will be smooth. But this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, it can be the opposite. They often find themselves walking a path where every move is scrutinized, where every decision is weighed against an ideal that doesn't always match their personal desires or reality. The weight of meeting others' expectations can overshadow their own dreams, making it hard for them to even figure out what they truly want in life. In moments of doubt, the chosen child might look around and wonder if they're allowed to just be, to fail, or to simply exist without the burden of being special hanging over them. And in those quiet moments, the pressure can feel almost unbearable. The emotional exhaustion from constantly having to perform can erode their confidence and create a deep sense of anxiety. The fear of not being enough, of falling short of others' expectations, becomes a shadow that looms over them, even in moments of success. This relentless pressure to succeed, to constantly meet family and societal standards, is one of the hidden burdens that those labeled as chosen children often carry, hidden not only from the world, but sometimes from themselves as well. It's a struggle that many people never see, but it's one that shapes their lives in profound ways. Being labeled a chosen child often means standing out, but that doesn't always translate to feeling accepted or understood. In fact, for many, it creates an overwhelming sense of isolation, a feeling that no one truly sees or understands them for who they are. They're supposed to be different, supposed to be special, but in that difference, they often find themselves feeling more alone than ever. The label that's meant to set them apart from the crowd can sometimes make them feel like they don't belong anywhere at all. Even though they may be celebrated for their talents, achievements, or potential, there's a deep unspoken loneliness that comes with being seen as others. The world expects them to be extraordinary, but with that comes the feeling that they're no longer part of the ordinary. They can no longer relate to their peers in the same way. While others navigate the ups and downs of daily life, the chosen child often feels as if they're operating on a different wavelength, one that others can't quite tune in. It's an experience that can breed a deep sense of alienation, like standing on the outside of the very world they're supposed to be a part of. This sense of not fitting in goes beyond just the feeling of being different. It's about being different in a way that separates you from others. People around them might admire or envy them, but few understand the emotional struggle that comes with this uniqueness. The very qualities that make them stand out can also make them feel distanced from those who don't share the same expectations or pressure. They might find themselves longing for the simple, unremarkable moments of being normal or blending into the crowd, something they can't afford to do because they're constantly under the spotlight. At the heart of this isolation is an internal struggle that many chosen children face, the desire to be seen for who they truly are versus the need to meet the expectations others have placed upon them. They may have a deep desire to connect, to simply be themselves, without the weight of being special constantly hanging over them. But the more they try to fit in or seek acceptance from others, the more they're reminded of how different they really are. It's a confusing, conflicting battle between wanting to be unique and yet wanting to blend in, to find a place where they belong without the constant reminder that they're supposed to be better, smarter, or more successful than everyone else. This struggle intensifies when they look around and realize that the connections they crave are often out of reach because of their perceived difference. Relationships with peers or even family members can become strained, as others may feel threatened or distant, unsure how to relate to someone who's always expected to be exceptional. It's not that they don't appreciate their gifts or abilities, but sometimes they wish they could just be seen as a person, not a label, not a set of In these moments, the burden of being special can feel suffocating, as they long for genuine human connection without the interference of the label. The more they try to balance their uniqueness with their desire for acceptance, the more they begin to feel like they're losing themselves in the process. It's a painful irony, being set apart for greatness only to discover that greatness can be the very thing that keeps them from truly fitting in. The constant comparison to others is one of the most insidious challenges faced by chosen children. From a young age, they are often placed side by side with those around them. Their achievements weighed against others as if their worth is determined by how they measure up, whether it's being compared to siblings, classmates, or even people in their community. This relentless side-by-side assessment can quickly erode their sense of self-worth. It doesn't matter how much they've accomplished. If someone else achieves more or does something better, the pressure to surpass that becomes a constant nagging presence. The comparisons can be subtle at first. A comment like, "Why can't you be more like your older sibling?" or "You're so close, just like that person at school," might seem harmless. But over time, they chip away at the chosen child's confidence. Every success they have is quickly overshadowed by someone else's. Even when they do well, there's this feeling that they're only being noticed because someone else did even better. This comparison is not just limited to their peers. It can extend to the very people they love and admire, like siblings or close friends, creating a silent rivalry that can lead to feelings of inadequacy. The effect of these comparisons can be deeply damaging. For many chosen children, no matter how hard they work, they always feel like they're falling short. It's like they're on an endless treadmill, running as fast as they can, but never quite reaching the finish line. The fear of not measuring up, of not being good enough compared to those around them, can seep into every part of their lives. It can affect their relationships, their choices, and even their ability to truly enjoy their own success. If someone else's achievements are always the gold standard, how can they ever feel proud of their own? This can also foster resentment. It's not always easy to keep up with the constant pressure to be better, especially when it feels like someone else is always waiting in the wings to surpass you. Imagine always being told how great your sibling is at sports, how they're the natural at everything, while you're expected to somehow be equally extraordinary in your own way. The comparisons don't just make the chosen child feel inadequate, they can breed anger and resentment towards those they're being compared to. Instead of supporting one another, these comparisons create an unspoken competition where each person feels they have to one-up the other. It's not just comparisons to family members that take their toll. Sometimes it's the community around them that intensifies the pressure. If someone in their social circle, a classmate or a neighbor, achieves something remarkable, it can be hard for the chosen child not to feel like they're not measuring up. It's as if the bar keeps moving higher, and no matter how high they jump, it never seems like enough. This continuous comparison can push them into a mindset where they feel like their own journey and their own accomplishments don't matter as much as the race they're running against everyone else. The result is often a growing sense of self-doubt. Instead of celebrating their unique talents, they become obsessed with outperforming those around them, losing sight of what made them special in the first place. Every comparison made by others becomes an internal judgment they can't escape, making it harder to recognize their own value without the approval of someone else. There's a pervasive misconception that chosen children have it all together. People see their success, their abilities, and their potential, and assume that they're immune to the struggles and failures that most people face. It's as if being labeled special means they must always have everything under control. The reality, however, is far different. Beneath the surface, chosen children often wrestle with the same doubts, fears, and challenges that everyone else does, but they're expected to hide them. The pressure to maintain a flawless image can be overwhelming, and it's something they can rarely escape. The constant expectation that they have everything figured out leads to a situation where they're not allowed to show weakness. They're viewed as the ones who always succeed, who always rise to the occasion, and because of that, there's an unspoken belief that they should never struggle or fail. This creates an environment where it's almost impossible for them to admit when they're not doing okay. Even in moments of vulnerability, the world expects them to keep up appearances, to maintain the image of being composed, capable, and unflappable. But no one is immune to the ups and downs of life, and trying to live up to this expectation of perfection can be draining. The truth is, chosen children face their own set of challenges. They might fail, they might make mistakes, and they might feel overwhelmed by the weight of their responsibilities. But unlike others, their struggles are often minimized or overlooked because people can't reconcile the idea of them being perfect with the reality of their humanity. It can be a deeply isolating experience, facing the world with a mask of success while quietly dealing with self-doubt, anxiety, or the pressure to keep pushing forward, even when they're at their breaking point. This constant need to appear flawless often leads to burnout. The more they try to live up to the expectations placed on them, the more they drain their mental, emotional, and physical energy. They push themselves harder, do more, and strive for perfection, all while silently fighting a battle against exhaustion and self-imposed pressure. They begin to lose sight of their own needs and boundaries because they're too focused on meeting everyone else's expectations. The result is a slow but steady depletion of their well-being, and what once seemed like a strength, the drive to succeed, becomes a source of profound weary. What's often not recognized is that the desire to appear perfect can be just as damaging as failing outright. Chosen children are constantly walking a tightrope, balancing the need to meet others' expectations with the pressure to maintain a flawless image. This emotional juggling act can cause feelings of frustration and helplessness, especially when they realize that no matter how much they accomplish, it's never enough to quiet the external pressure or the inner voice demanding more. The fear of appearing imperfect or vulnerable also prevents them from seeking help or expressing their struggles. Admitting that they don't have it all together feels like admitting failure, and for a chosen child, failure is something they've been taught to avoid at all costs. The weight of maintaining perfection can feel suffocating, and over time, it becomes harder and harder to keep up the facade. In the end, the pressure to always appear as if they have everything under control takes a toll, pushing them to the edge of burnout, leaving them mentally and emotionally exhausted, and wondering if they'll ever be able to let their guard down. Being labeled as chosen often comes with an unspoken burden, the feeling of being responsible for others. The very act of being seen as special, as someone destined for greatness, carries with it a heavy expectation, not just to succeed for oneself, but to ensure the happiness and success of those around them. It's as if the chosen child is placed on a pedestal, not only to shine, but to lift others along the way. While this may sound noble on the surface, the emotional toll of such responsibility can be overwhelming. From a young age, chosen children are often made to feel like they are the ones who must take charge, lead by example, and carry the hopes and dreams of their family or community. The weight of this responsibility can feel suffocating. Their achievements are seen not as personal victories, but as collective triumphs. Every success, every milestone they reach is often celebrated with the unspoken expectation that their journey will inspire or benefit others. This sense of duty can create a deep emotional conflict. They're not just responsible for their own success, they're expected to ensure that their loved ones are proud, content, and thriving as a result of their achievements. But what happens when the chosen child is struggling, or when they face setbacks? The emotional burden of knowing that others are relying on them can prevent them from acknowledging their own difficulties. They feel like they must always perform, always be the one who gets things right, because the happiness of those around them is tied to their success. The pressure to be the rock for everyone else makes it difficult to ask for help or even show vulnerability. Instead of being allowed to express their own needs, they are constantly in a position of providing for others emotionally, financially, or even psychologically. It's as if they are meant to give without ever being able to take. The internal conflict between personal desires and societal or familial duty is often at the core of this emotional burden. Chosen children may have their own hopes, dreams, and ambitions, but these often conflict with the role they've been assigned by others. They might want to pursue a path that's different from what's expected of them, but the pressure to meet the expectations of family or society can make them feel guilty for even considering it. Their desires become secondary to the needs of those around them. The fear of disappointing others, of not living up to the promise of being special, can cause them to suppress their own aspirations in favor of fulfilling the roles others have outlined for them. This internal tug-of-war between personal fulfillment and external obligation can create a sense of inner turmoil. On one hand, the chosen child feels a deep desire to follow their own path, to be free of the constraints placed on them. But on the other hand, they are weighed down by the knowledge that they carry the emotional well-being of others on their shoulders. The constant balancing act between pursuing their own happiness and fulfilling their perceived duty to others becomes an exhausting and emotionally draining experience. They begin to wonder if they're ever allowed to truly choose themselves, or if they're forever bound to the responsibility of being the one everyone relies on. This internal conflict, unresolved, becomes a source of deep emotional fatigue, and over time, the weight of carrying others' expectations can take a toll on their mental and emotional health. One of the most profound struggles that chosen children face is the lack of understanding from those around them. While everyone admires their achievements and acknowledges their special qualities, few truly comprehend the unique challenges that come with being labeled chosen. The pressure, the isolation, and the emotional toll are invisible to most, and this lack of awareness often leaves chosen children feeling misunderstood and unsupported. The people around them, family, friends, even mentors, may not realize that being special doesn't shield them from the struggles that everyone faces. Instead, it places an additional layer of pressure on them to constantly perform, to always be at their best. But because those around them see only the surface, the accomplishments, the talents, they fail to see the internal battles and the emotional weight they carry. They may assume that the chosen child has everything under control, that they're immune to doubt or failure, but in reality, they're often crying out for help, only to find that their struggles are overlooked or dismissed. This lack of understanding leads to a profound absence of emotional support. While many children receive guidance tailored to their personal needs, the chosen child often finds that the support they get is generalized and doesn't address the unique burdens they face. For instance, while others may receive reassurance that it's okay to fail or take a break, the chosen child might feel that they are expected to power through, to keep up the facade of perfection without the space to express their vulnerability. When they do seek help or confide in others, they may be met with advice that doesn't acknowledge the complexity of their situation. "You're so gifted, you'll be fine," or "just keep going, you're doing great," may seem encouraging, but they don't provide the emotional validation or the understanding the chosen child desperately needs. The lack of tailored guidance can leave them feeling adrift, uncertain of how to manage the pressure they face. While others may have the freedom to stumble, fail, and learn at their own pace, the chosen child is often expected to navigate their journey alone. There's a deep sense of being misunderstood, as if they're living in a world where everyone's cheering for them to succeed, but no one truly gets the emotional complexity of what that success requires. They may long for someone who can see beyond their achievements and recognize the emotional toll that the expectations place on them. In these moments, the chosen child often retreats inward, bottling up their feelings because they don't know how to explain what they're going through. They may feel guilty for feeling overwhelmed or ungrateful, knowing that everyone around them sees them as fortunate. The fear of being judged for not handling the pressure well enough keeps them from reaching out for the support they need. And so they suffer in silence, carrying the weight of their emotions without the understanding or the guidance to navigate them. This emotional disconnect between the chosen child and those around them can lead to feelings of isolation. They may begin to wonder if anyone truly sees them, not as a symbol of success or potential, but as a person struggling under the weight of expectation. Without the support they need, the chosen child can feel like they're walking a path alone, one where others see only the shine of their accomplishments, but never the cracks beneath the surface. The lack of understanding leaves them feeling invisible, even when they're surrounded by people who should care for them the most. Beneath the surface of every chosen child's success lies a deep yearning for freedom, the freedom to express themselves authentically without the constant pressure to be something they're not. While others may see them as destined for greatness, they often long for the space to simply be themselves without the expectations of others hanging over them. This desire for freedom is not just about escaping the pressures of success, but about seeking the ability to exist without the weight of predefined roles and labels. For many chosen children, the world is constantly telling them who they should be. From a young age, they are expected to embody greatness, to meet expectations that others have set for them. Whether it's their family's dreams, their community's aspirations, or society's ideals, they are often trapped in roles that were assigned to them long before they had the chance to explore their own desires. The pressure to maintain these roles can become suffocating, leaving little room for self-discovery or personal expression. They may feel like they are always performing, always acting out a script that others have written for them, without ever getting the chance to live on their own terms. The internal conflict between wanting to pursue their own path and feeling bound by the roles others have assigned to them can create a sense of being stuck. They yearn to break free, to try new things, to explore different facets of themselves. But the fear of disappointing others, of failing to live up to the expectations placed on them, often holds them back. It's as if they are caught in a never-ending tug-of-war between their own desires and the responsibility they feel to fulfill the hopes and dreams of those around them. Every decision they make is weighed against the possibility of disappointing someone or straying too far from the image they are expected to uphold. This conflict is not just about external pressure, it's also an internal struggle. Chosen children often feel torn between their desire to be true to themselves and the fear that doing so will lead to rejection or judgment. The more they try to break free and express themselves authentically, the more they're reminded of the expectations that come with being special. They may feel guilty for wanting something different from what others envisioned for them, as if their personal happiness must always be sacrificed for the sake of success or others' approval. What's even more difficult is that this internal battle often goes unnoticed. Others around them see only the external achievements, the outward signs of success, but they fail to understand the emotional and psychological costs of living up to those expectations. They don't see the silent struggle to reconcile who they are with who they're supposed to be. In moments of solitude, the desire for freedom becomes a desperate plea. They want to be able to speak their truth, to pursue their passions without the fear of disappointing others or living up to a standard they didn't choose. Yet despite this yearning, they often find themselves trapped in a cycle of pleasing others and fulfilling their assigned roles. This struggle between pursuing their own path and being confined by the expectations placed on them creates a profound sense of frustration and sadness. The freedom they crave seems just out of reach, and they wonder if they'll ever be able to break free from the roles they've been given to find their own authentic voice. The hidden struggles of chosen children are far more complex than what meets the eye. While they may seem to have it all together, the reality is filled with pressure, isolation, comparison, and a constant struggle to live up to expectations, not only for their own success, but for the happiness of those around them. They face the emotional toll of feeling responsible for others, the burden of being misunderstood, and the internal conflict of wanting to pursue their own path while being confined by the roles assigned to them. These challenges, often invisible to the world, can lead to burnout, self-doubt, and a deep yearning for authenticity and freedom. It's important for us to reflect on how we treat those around us who may be carrying these hidden burdens. Whether it's a family member, a friend, or a colleague, understanding that everyone has their own struggles, often ones we can't see, can make all the difference. Offering support, empathy, and compassion can help lighten the load for those who may be silently fighting battles of their own.
Remember, it's okay to not always live up to the expectations placed on you. You don't have to be perfect or always have everything figured out. Embrace your journey, take time for yourself, and give yourself the grace to be human. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you're not alone in your struggle.